Hi, hello. If you're new here, my name is Rain. If you're not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you stopping back on by to my little corner of the internet, and I'm really excited about today's video in terms of like the learning process to it. So if you have the time, I would really appreciate if you sat all the way through it. I know my videos are pretty long and daunting. But that aside, today I'm finishing up my sketch from the end of last week's video. So if you're wanting to see how I actually got to the sketch that I'm working off of in this video, you'd have to go to the ending-ish of last week's video. I'd say probably like 20 to 30 minutes in. I tried to spend a lot of time with that one in like normal speed because I liked it so much and I felt like it was the better thing from my art vlog last week. So, you know, yeah, probably the last quarter to half of it is the actual sketching process for what you guys get to see in this video. So if you're curious, that's where that is and how to find it. And in terms of the supplies I'm using at the beginning, I'm using the like Juno gold pencils that I always talk about, how they're just absolute crusty pencils. Honestly, they're not really great. They don't blend super well. They're kind of a nightmare. But they're not awful, and because this is my sketchbook, I obviously don't care a whole lot about the actual like materials I'm using. Like, this is a place for me to have fun. It doesn't matter if I'm using crusty, musty, dusty pencils, right? But the actual like concept for the character is she's supposed to be this sort of wood elf sort of thing, and I very much like the concept. I very much like the direction the sketch is going in. I want to redo her, and I'll get into why a bit more later, but I just feel like I can go so much more over the top, fun and spunky with this character in general. And I love the concept so much, I honestly just want an excuse to draw more and more of it, right? Like, she's so cute. She's so cute. I need to make a ton of plant people now. It's maybe my new personality is plant people. But I'm overall really happy with this sketch, and so I'm not entirely sure. Like, I think I'm just going to make a ton more sketches like this. And in terms of, like, plot, I never actually did find a creature from mythology that seemed super appropriate to, like, assign to this character. So I think I'm probably just going to keep calling her, like, a plant elf, a wood elf. I mean, we're at a point where I feel like you can just play with terms in terms of like mythos creatures a little bit more loosely. So while this might not fit any classical definitions or mainstream ideas of what you would expect for a wood elf, I don't think I'm particularly so off the mark that I'm offending any sort of like pre-existing, pre-established relationship. And the Juno pencils did end up being so annoying to work with. I did bring in my small Prismacolor set. I'm sure you guys noticed me pulling those out. But if you guys have any like fictional creatures that you think can be better assigned the title for this type of designs, like a creature who is basically this host for a bunch of different plants, I focused really strongly on mycobiont relationships, right? So she is mostly consisting of mushrooms because fungi feed off of the decomposition of things, right? So if you have something dead in the woods, that's a place where mushrooms will thrive for acquiring their food, right? So I was kind of thinking it would make more sense for her to be kind of this humanoid enough creature, right? Where she is able to feed these mushrooms, right, and host them to the fullest extent. And I was thinking in terms of her, because they are kind of taking up her mouth area, either moving away from that so we can see her face more for a future iteration of the drawing, or perhaps kind of approaching more of a green or just a more fun colored skin, so like a green, a red, or a blue, so that she's indicating that she's doing photosynthesis, right? So if she was green, she'd be reflecting that green light. And so just playing with the colors that are a little bit more spunky on the visible light spectrum, so that it's like she's photosynthesizing and that's how she gets her energy and kind of like keeps up all of her system structures that the mushrooms are then feeding off of. And that seems like a generally kind of like better approach to the idea and the concept of this creature. Otherwise, I think I might need to just put a little bit more effort into ensuring that they're really coming out of her in all of these little spaces where there's like crevices and stuff like that that would appeal to the general environment that a mushroom likes, right? Because you don't see a lot of mushrooms when it's super dry out. They tend to prefer those moist environments and stuff like that. And so generally, I know it's kind of gross and I'm not super into it, but like coming out of the cracks where her arm would meet her body and like maybe a little bit more the junction of her neck, kind of around her ears a little bit more, these kind of like warm environments where theoretically they're going to kind of like, when she's sweaty, kind of just have more moisture. It's so gross to think about. Like, I'm not into the concept, but scientifically it makes more sense than kind of how I have them working. Obviously, I'm still going to have them growing out of her scalp because it's cute, but kind of just like spending a little bit more time doing rough character design sketches and little like concept sketches so that I can get a better idea of how I want to approach it a little bit more, right? Because this was just an initial sketch. And so I would really like to know if you guys are interested in seeing more of this kind of like plant elf person concept, because I really, really like it. Obviously, if it's not stuff that you guys are particularly interested in seeing more of, I do draw outside of YouTube, you know, so I don't need to make you guys, I'm not making you guys look at it, but I don't need to offer it up and be like, hello, I made this thing, right, you know? And so if you guys have any particular feelings, like, yes, I want to see it, no, I don't, feel free to let me know. I'm not going to get offended, honestly. Like, I get it. Me discussing how, like, it should probably, like, have mushrooms growing out of her armpits is kind of gross. Like, I get it. I understand. But, conceptually, I really, really like this design. And I want to just do more of it. And I'm going to anyway, right? Like, I want to do a full illustration with, like, a full marker illustration with pencils on top instead of the other way around, which I do in this video. And then I think I want to explore it digitally. I know I said I wasn't going to make her original character, and I'm working on it. I'm working really hard on being good and not making everything a original character, right? I'm trying, guys. It's a fight. But overall, I also kind of wanted to mention in the coloring phase that I started tying in elements from that other kind of woodland tree fairy that I brought in. And that was kind of the bark shoulders, I guess would be what I would call them. The, like, tree shoulders, right? That would be a way of putting it. And I want to change that. So if there are any ideas on how this can be, like, better approached, something that you guys think would be more conceptually interesting, I think that the bark armor body thing only would look nice if I kind of incorporated it into the skin a bit more. Currently, it's looking like poorly laid plates of metal, right? Like a chain, not a chain, but like knight armor, you know? I think the closest thing it gets to that's like relatively reasonable and kind of cute would maybe be like the wood elf equivalency of like a fur coat. I'm putting quotes around that. Fur coat, right? Like, probably not a creature that has a desire to kill animals and probably doesn't like harvest furs enough to actually perhaps want to necessarily like make clothing out of it as much as maybe utilize it for bedding or other things. I'm not sure. Like, I'm trying to think, like, if you have a village of these things, what do? Does the creature get cold? Does she get cold? Do you get cold if you photosynthesize? Like, plants can freeze, but do you necessarily feel cold? Do I want her to have, like, nerve endings the same way, like, we do as humans? Like, I don't know. I really want to do more of these, and so I really, really want to think particularly intensely about the plot and the story. And so that's what the city is about. You guys are going to listen to me discuss plot and story, and then I have some channel updates, but that's for later. So I'm thinking, like, if this is like an actual species, right, and this is like a wood elf, like a plant elf thing, then do I want it to be like a village of these? Do they get cold? Do they actually eat food? I need to know this for like ceremonial reasons. Like, I'm making a whole story, but I swear she's not gonna be an OC, guys. I promise. Fingers crossed. Maybe, huh? Right? No one trusts me when I say I'm not gonna make it an OC. But I was also thinking, for those of you who have seen my Death of the Artist series, where I go over and do illustrations based on my life with a chronic illness, I do have a bit of a tendency to do sketches, and I have one full illustration where I'm playing with the concept of plants feeding from the dead as a representational kind of thing of illness, right? And so I'm very much not opposed to, and I have a strong tendency to kind of like the idea of life after death, or death being a fulfilling thing that like benefits stuff. And so that makes the space very open for perhaps this is like a zombification process. Totally not like that parasite that can like consume ants and kind of make them zombies. Like, not quite that insane, because that makes me super uncomfy and I don't like it. But perhaps that this is kind of a version of life after death where like people who die in hiking accidents or just have other reasons why they mysteriously die out there. Trying not to be too graphic without having thought this through, because I'm thinking through it right now with you guys, right? People who are dead, kind of having a life after death where they kind of become this semi-living host for plants and kind of become one with nature. And that's kind of how these creatures come into being, right? Where there's something about the nature or the kind of like wild environment that they're in that makes it capable for them to kind of come forward, right? And then that further being a thing where they kind of just are not necessarily as alive and as functional as we are as humans, and so perhaps maybe they don't get cold, maybe they don't sweat, maybe they don't need to eat or anything, but they have kind of this purpose after death where they are one with nature to such an extreme that they almost become an ecosystem of their own, right? And so that's something that I also really want to play with, because I like the I end up going in with a like ivory pencil or something later, because I didn't have any thing darker than the hair on hand. I went in with an ivory pencil later, and I kind of like that sickly dead complexion. Wow, I can't enunciate my words. And those super purple, dead, red eyeballs. Just like there's never been sleep ever. And so I think that that looks really, really nice conceptually. And so if I make it so that it's just a dead person, as graphic as that is, I don't know, the age range of my audience is old enough that I think I can discuss this without being like particularly cautious, right? I think my audience is primarily 18 to 25, right? So if I treat this as a deceased person who is now becoming nature themselves, I think that that opens up an opportunity for a lot of human complexions and stuff like that, and getting to play with kind of the like way our skin kind of just grows kind of jaundiced and sickly and stuff like that, and I get to explore maybe more natural hair colors and more natural skin colors, right? And I can play with that more. Or do I want to play with unnatural skin colors and have this focus on this idea of them being a photosynthetic creature? Or maybe that photosynthetic phase is something that happens over time. And I had a really nice idea. I don't know if I can Google while typing or what. No, I don't know if I can Google while talking, but I'm totally blanking on the skin condition where you have like no melanin in certain areas, but that can be a really, really beautiful way to incorporate that condition into a character design where it's something that's kind of incremental and not fully a thing that kind of takes over the skin altogether, but rather the photosynthetic features kind of slowly come in as you become more one with nature, and the body will become less reliant on the things it needed in life as it kind of gets more inhabited by plants, where that photosynthetic process maybe gets like diffused. I don't know. This is a fantasy world. I can do what I want. But I think that would be so, so beautiful, having people with just splotches of like photosynthetic colors just on their skin with their old skin color from life and kind of playing with that. That would be really, really beautiful. Ooh, I think I like that idea a lot. Let me know. But yeah, I really, really like that. I can never think of the name of that condition though. I feel so bad. I will try to remember to put it in either as a pinned comment or when I'm actually editing my voiceover, I'll put it up on the screen. Wait, I'll put a marker so I remember to do that. Because I'm totally blanking, and I hate myself for it, but I'm totally blanking. But I feel like that could be really, really nice. But I was also thinking, not like, but I was, as in like moving on, I'm moving on to a different section of this. I was thinking clothing is going to become really, really difficult at some point when you're hosting this many plants. And so I have to think of a clothing style that's generally pretty like easy to put on, loose and flowy and stuff like that, that can accommodate the fact that plants are going to be growing out of the body, and so slipping a shirt on, just a casual shirt on, is like going to become inconvenient, or certain plants will get too damaged if that fabric is covering, while also kind of this idea of not kind of like sexualizing the dead. I've brought it up a couple of times on my channel how as a disabled person, there is this sexualization of us for being vulnerable and kind of not there, right? Like we're not as capable of defending ourselves, and so that vulnerability and implied obedience through our inability to defend ourselves as effectively is a sexualized thing, right? Kind of like feminine death in art history, right? So we have the sexualization of tuberculosis and people offing themselves, right? The sexualization of women doing that to themselves, right? And so there's that kind of thing where I definitely, when it comes to this character design, even though I'm very, very fond of drawing, very like body confident and kind of just indifferent to kind of gender norms and clothing styles, and I have no issue drawing naked characters. When I'm deliberately drawing a character that's dead, like this character might end up being, and especially my OC Nameless, whom is probably not going to get a name at this point. I've been saying this for like 5 videos now. It's probably not going to happen, guys, okay? Like, let's just give up on me. With dead characters, I do try to put an extra care into not perpetuating that idea of the sexy death and the sexy dead, because I know it exists, and so even though that might not be my intention or the information I want to portray, the fact that I'm aware it exists, I'm scared of kind of pushing this idea further and making this narrative something that's more accessible to people. I don't enjoy, not accessible in a like information and kind of just giving people information that would be valuable and kind of educational context, but in a way where it kind of perpetuates the stigmas of women being submissive and obedient and plain and easy to kind of manipulate and do what you want with kind of thing. I'd try not to like just let my art be left up to that imagination, because that's never going to be my intention with a female character, because even my most kind of adjacent to that concept character. Nameless is still a very independent and like self-sufficient character. Maybe not self-sufficient, but they're an independent character that is very capable of setting their boundaries and saying that this is not okay and I do not accept that, and no, you cannot do this, that, and the other, right? And so as a zombie character who is dead and perhaps may have been less like able at a point and is now fully kind of in control of themselves, I still try not to portray them in a particularly sexual manner because they are a zombie and there is that kind of implied deadness to them. Undead, but deadness to them, right? And so I kind of just went on a like moral rant without really any like way of aiding you guys in processing the information. I'm really sorry about that. But I also originally started this sketch with this idea that I just wanted to have plants coming from the chest cavity, right? I originally, when I was thinking about it before I even put down the basic head in my previous video, like the head gestures, was I wanted to just do this drawing of an open, huge chest cavity, right? And this came to me when I was thinking about that idea and looking for references, and that's where I ended up going with it, right? So I have to balance this idea that I want to be able to explore perhaps maybe even the injuries that led to the death and things like that and plants growing out of it, but not being too overtly sexual in a way that I feel is kind of like unappealing, right? And that brings in like the additional issue where like to what extent is nudity more or less sexual than kind of skimpy clothing, right? Because one thing I particularly just don't like as a trope in media is like buff independent women wearing bikini tops and then that being their way of exhibiting independence, right? Like I can just have my tits out and I'm a big strong woman and no one can do anything about it. And I don't know, I always get really annoyed. I watch anime. I don't watch movies really. Sometimes I'll watch a TV show here and there, but it's really not my thing. So when it comes to anime, when I see a female character that's supposed to have some level of like independence or self-authority and they're wearing like just a bikini top and their tits are bouncing around all the time, I'm just like, this is almost worse than them just being out the entire way at this point. Like, is this a plot device at this point? And so that's something I don't really want to make a like actual component of fashion. I like drawing characters in bikini tops when they're like supposed to have a beach theme, and I kind of find that fun. Or I like kind of the idea of wearing like a simple one under clothing. So like if you like have the shoulder slipping down, seeing a bit of the top of the triangle. But when it comes to something like this, the bikini top kind of idea would just kind of be the most effective form of clothing. So I think I'm going to try and come up with a particularly creative approach to clothing design that's going to require a lot of like gesturing out and like designs. But I'm thinking for actually having the plants grow from around under the breasts and stuff like that, having kind of like a circle where you can like clip them together would be an effective approach, maybe like a clasp that can go around where the mushrooms are coming out, like a big circle ring, and then having like a more intricate open back dress with a lot of ties. Or I'm thinking maybe a like off the shoulder wrap dress might work. I'm thinking about it, but something like that where it's something that is tied on more so. Being off the shoulder, it wouldn't in fact interfere with like shoulder mushrooms or like armpit mushrooms. So I'm thinking that through, and I'm kind of trying to approach the tiny challenges that are going to come with that without the barky armor on her that is going to kind of eradicate some of this implied need for or like implied space for these mushrooms to be coming out of, because quite a few of them are in the original sketch, and kind of as I try to color them in, are coming out from under the bark overall, right? So they're growing out of these little crevices because they were like partially inspired by pictures that I had. And then I also do want to open it up in, like, potentially speaking, to have more of those shelf mushrooms or cliffy mushrooms where they're going directly out the side of the bark, and that's going to have a lot more potential if I take the bark shoulders away, because I can have them growing out of the shoulder kind of like scales almost, and I feel like that will be really pretty, or down along the side of the character can be nice. What can be really, really cool is like around the thighs where stretch marks usually are, having these shelf mushrooms growing out. That can be really, really pretty. I have so many ideas for like different places I can put the mushrooms and how I want to approach it. So if there's any idea that particularly sticks with you guys, be sure to let me know, because I'm gonna be drafting up quite a lot of these. I probably won't make a video where I'm just doing these like basic preliminary sketches, but I might do a whole character design video, but I don't want to make too many videos about this particular sketch in a row, so we'll see how it lines up. And this feels like a kind of mediocre segue into the kind of like next little channel announcement thing, so I might as well do it here and then maybe briefly mention it. No, I already actually filmed my outro. It is convoluted, you'll understand it when we get there, but I was checking my YouTube analytics just to see when you all are most active and most on YouTube, because I'm able to do that because I have so many of you guys now. I wasn't always able to. I recently got that ability, so thank you to all of the people who subscribe to my channel and enjoy my content, because now I can see when you guys are on YouTube. That's not creepy at all. But you guys are more active Saturdays and Sundays, and I kind of don't like this Thursday kind of upload time, because I'm in a class, and so, like, if I get comments while I'm in class, I don't get to engage right away, and I don't know, it just makes me a little sad that I have to, like, I'll get the notification on my phone, and I'll be like, okay, I have to wait until after my class to, like, engage, and then I, like, have work and stuff, and so moving up to Saturday and Sunday means I'm more available at the time my video goes up, so that also just sounds kind of fun for me as well. So I'm going to work on the process of gradually making it so that my videos go up on a different day of the week, same time, I think. I'll check the analytics again and see if there's a time that's better. It looked like y'all are active from 8 to 10, 11-ish. I don't remember. I checked a few days ago, and I asked in the community tab if y'all would be interested in a little video of me and my favorite sketch supplies, and so I'm gonna film an extra video this week. It might be a little bit crammed, but it's gonna be live voiceover, so I don't have to go through that process, so that'll take a lot of the stress off of the overall kind of editing process, and I'll just have a cute little video where I show you guys my desk space, and where I, like, work and what I use to film, and the supplies that I like to use the most, because while you guys do see it in the video, I don't really, like, call out what I'm using ever. And I don't think to show it to the camera because, one, I'm filming with my phone, and two, I don't think about it. I'm just like, okay, here we go. But just talking about my favorite sketching supplies and all of that, and so that will be a bonus video as I kind of, like, worm my way to a new time slot. That's gonna go up Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure which day yet. I'm leaning more towards Sunday because my birthday's next week, and so Sunday's a little bit further from my actual birthday, and so it'll be a little bit less wild in my household, to say the very least. I'm not a huge birthday person, but my partner and I have birthdays very close to each other, so we're celebrating them next weekend, and somebody's coming over because cake, and then I have a kind of like step sibling, and so it'll be a small little like family party, but I am turning older, so it'll be a little bit chaotic, and I think Sunday's just going to work out better for when things actually like line up overall. But yeah, I am really, really excited. Also, I'm going to be really busy Thursday next week because birthday stuff, and I have an exam, so I have an exam Thursday, I think. No, Wednesday. Thursday? I have an exam next week. And and then the weekend will be kind of chaotic, and so filming and getting that all done in time to go up Thursday will be a little bit stressful. Having those extra days will be really, really nice on me. So it's a very convenient time to make this decision. And so, yeah, look out for that video on Saturday and Sunday. And then next week, I don't think I'll have a video going up on Thursday. I might make a little miniature one and do a little sketch or something, but I'm thinking about just filming a video next week on me doing a little self-portrait for my birthday, because, you know, I might cut my hair for my birthday. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, filming a little self-portrait drawing session, or just like some doodles, or maybe even just going through my self-portraits over the years sounds really, really fun. That might be a video for after my, like, I've thought about my birthday, maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? I'm terrible at planning out my videos. I just sit down with my sketchbook, and what I vomit out onto the page is what you guys get to see, right? So, but yeah, that is something I'm intending on doing, I'm planning on doing, and I'm really excited about. So, when you guys don't see me next Thursday, I'm not dead. I just moved my upload date, and I'll post a reel that day or something to maybe make a reminder. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try to make it as smooth as possible. I don't think you guys are going to worry about me, but, you know, for the sake of it, it feels good to make it extra clear, and mention it way too many times. But yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I hope you guys like the new time and date. I'm really nervous about it. I don't want to upset the algorithm, because I've been posting at the same time and day for over 6 months. Oh wow, I've had my channel for over 6 months. Oh, we're closer to a year now. Wow. Ooh, I'm excited. I haven't thought of what I'm gonna do for a channel anniversary, but I'm gonna do something, because this has been just the best creative outlet I've ever really encountered in my life. Like, this has been really wonderful as something to, like, a way to share my art and all of that stuff. And so I'm really appreciative, and I want to do something to kind of just celebrate it. I had thought about starting a YouTube channel for a long time prior to starting it, like a few years. I was like, what if I just started a YouTube video, you know? There's no way, or a YouTube video? Started a singular video. But a channel, it's like, there's no way to know if I'm going to enjoy it until I start, right? Things like that. I didn't think I'd like Instagram until I started it, and now I don't like Instagram, because Instagram's just not as fun anymore. I don't get to see the creators I love seeing as much. I have to, like, literally look them up in the search bar to find them. Even people I, like, went to school with, I have to fight to try and find in my Instagram feed at this point. Like, I spent ages trying to find a classmate the other day. I was just like, where did they go? Did they fall off the face of the earth? So, things like that. Totally irrelevant side tangent. What did you guys expect from me? But yeah, I did want to do something to celebrate my channel anniversary, because this has been a really wonderful experience, and I have a lot of fun here. And I was saying to somebody actually earlier today in the comments, because you know, sometimes a video gets ran into at a later date, and I try to respond to every comment I get, and generally if it's an older video, the notification is pretty thorough and easy to see, you know, especially if I didn't just post a video. It's like, I almost never miss a comment if it's on a video that's older than a week, luckily. I'd feel really bad if I did, but in that they asked me how I have so many subscribers, and I was like, oh, I don't have advice for you. My answer is always going to be that I make what I love to make, and I make what I love to watch, right? Because what's the point of doing this if you don't love what you're doing? You know what I mean? I don't see a point in making videos and having a creative outlet in your life if you don't enjoy the creative outlet, right? I've talked a few times on my channel how YouTube is never going to be my full-time job unless, like, something really serious happens. It's the end of the world and I'm, like, off work for a little while, right? I'm never going to put myself in a position where I'm relying on YouTube as my full-time income, and where YouTube is no longer a fun experience for me, but rather a job. right? Because I'm doing this for fun and I'm doing this because I love it. I'm not monetized currently. I'm not even, I don't even qualify for monetization, right? And so my philosophy is just do what I love to do, right? This is what I love to do. I love to sketch. I love to doodle. I love to talk about my art. I love to rant. I love to talk about character design. This is all of the stuff that I love, and that's the whole point, right? Like, what's the point of doing this if I don't love it? And so, in providing my not wonderful advice, my advice was to do what you love and just be consistent, right? I mean, that's you're gonna find your community no matter what, right? Like, eventually, you know, you're gonna find a community of people who love what you love, right? You know, there are, like, what, 8 billion of us now? I think we've surpassed 8 billion. There's 8 billion of us out there. You know, there's no way you're going to not find a singular person who likes what you like, right? Even in the, like, most morbid, disgusting, questionable, niche type of, like, interest, right? No matter how absurd, weird, terrifying, questionable, obscure your thing is, there's somebody out there who's going to like it as well. You know what I mean? We have true crime stories about that, you know? Not to be particularly morbid, but, you know, you could have you can have a favorite show from, like, the 1930s, right? And it's going to be some super obscure black and white film with, like, a particular soundtrack and this actor who only did 2 movies ever, and, like, the director never made anything again, and somebody else is gonna like it too. You know what I mean? And so this is the "you're not alone" speech. What? But it's true, right? If you're making what you love, somebody else is gonna love it as well, right? I don't believe that there's ever a, like, point where the stuff you're creating is so particular to you in terms of, like, preference that no one will love your work for some reason or another, right? Even if somebody doesn't love your work in every capacity, there's going to be something that speaks to people and something about you as an individual who kind of speaks to people, right? That's kind of just the really, really cool thing about the internet, is that we're able to make those connections even when there's nobody in our immediate circle of life that will have these interests and these passions the way that we do, right? And so I have so many people here with me because I am doing what I love, and I'm finding people who like watching me do what I love, right? And maybe they love my art as well. Whether you're here for my personality more than my art, or a little bit of both, all of that. There's so many people here in my little corner of 794 people at the time of recording this, I think. This is a group of people who like what I like, and they like my art, right? And for the people who consistently come back and watch my videos, which I think rounds out to a little bit more like 150 people on average, this is also just kind of part of the wonderful process. This is a group of people who want to consistently come back and enjoy my content. But I'm not sure. I'm not actually, like, fluent in my analytics. What I know is that people watch, and that means people comment, and I get to talk to you guys about art, and that's the absolute best part of this. And I guess if that person did subscribe, not everyone has their subscriptions public, so sometimes people will comment and then they'll subscribe, but I won't know if it's them, right? I only get notified if somebody who has public subscriptions on subscribes. Fizzgig comes up a few times in this video if you haven't noticed. But if you're watching this video, slow growth is the best growth. I think actually one of my worst experiences on YouTube was when my video blew up, and I think I got quite a few subscribers from it that just didn't end up wanting to stick around very much. They didn't leave, they just don't watch anymore, right? And so that's a group of people who just aren't here actually, like, going on my journey with me and here in my corner loving it, right? And that's not a bad thing, you know? I'm happy for everybody who subscribes. It really means a lot to me. It helps me reach more people who like my art, but slow growth is the best growth because that's where you find your really, really good, dedicated group of people who like you for you and they like your art for your progress and what you can bring to the table and all of those wonderful things, right? And so ultimately, quick growth isn't going to win you the most things. And so that was my channel notification. Did it take me 10 minutes? Yes, because I cannot be concise in anything I say, absolutely ever. Somebody the other day, they do subscribe to my channel, I know them interpersonally, said, like, isn't being able to, like, summarize your points in a concise manner a sign of your intelligence? Yes, and that's how I know I'm not super intelligent. I can't wrap anything up in a cohesive, straightforward manner, ever. I realize, this is a horrible segue, I'm so sorry, this is a bad segue, but I realize that those ears aren't going to be well explained by the photosynthetic dead people, but you know what, ears are an aesthetic method, and I don't really know if I'm going to be able to think of a fun, creative way to describe them, but I want them. I really, really like the droopy, pointy ears. Not super pointy, but like a rounded point. I really like the ears I gave her. And I don't think I want to remove that altogether. So I'm not really, yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on how I feel about that and what I'll do for that in terms of like character design and analysis and kind of approaching doing more sketches and compositions of it. So we'll see. If you have, I think we're far enough into the like point of me deciding that markers were a good idea where I can confidently say that this is what I meant when I said that I had made mistakes earlier in the video and like I ended up regretting some decisions I made. I really do think that this design can look wonderful with marker illustrations, as a marker illustration and all of that. I just think that I didn't think it through firmly enough, and because I started with a colored pencil base where I had a lot of soft colors and I didn't think about kind of the vibrancy of Ohuhu markers when going into it, that I just didn't approach this quite how I should have overall. And so ultimately I do regret kind of bringing the markers in. I still like the final product and all of that, but I do think that she looked a lot better and was a lot more cute when she was just her soft soft pencil illustration. And I really liked the way the paper kind of like shone through and had that kind of lightness to it. I don't even remember what was pissing me off about the actual illustration in the first place, where I was like, I'm bringing markers and I can't do this anymore. I think it was how light the skin on the chest was and how hard of a time I was having, like bringing that vibrancy into place. But it's just, I don't know. It's not bad. I just feel like I didn't execute it very well. And I did more or less kind of just skip through and really speed up this portion of the video because I didn't know what I was doing. I was really, really tired. I have a tendency to do illustrations all in one sitting. Like, I really don't like walking away and coming back to them when my markers are out. As you can see, my desk gets really, really messy. I posted on my Instagram story, like, don't do this, guys. You'll regret being me. And I mean it. Like, when you have to clean up a mess like this, you don't want to go back to working on the drawing that like started the mess in the first place. You know what I mean? And in that, I kind of find that I just kind of rush through the ending of my illustrations because I really, really don't want to commit to having to get my stuff back out. And that's like a bad trait of mine. I need to kind of be better about my process and enjoying kind of the passive side of the work where I'm bringing out the supplies and I'm kind of being mindful of. I do now have this objective to kind of redo the whole sketch as I was mentioning earlier and actually be mindful about the colors I want to use and ensure that when I'm going through the process and like re-swatching my Ohuhu markers overall, I'm thinking about doing that in the back of my sketchbook. I have a blank page back there that I don't really want to draw on, but and me swatching my markers and really deciding a color palette, I'm actually being particularly intentional about it so that I can create something that I'm like completely in love with, or at the very least, if I'm not super satisfied at the end, I know it was like a technical skill or like a learning curve kind of thing, and not just me rushing it, kind of like what happened with this one, right? And so in that, I am going to do like a proper illustration sketch on a separate piece of paper. It's going to be a little bit bigger than this, which is kind of daunting. I haven't worked on a 9x8? Nope. How big is that paper? 5x9? It's not quite 9x11. I'm not actually sure how big the paper is off the top of my head. But it's the size of Moonlit Conservatory, the Graveyard one, and Dance with the Dead, and not Moonlit, Moth-Bitten Library, right? Literature Ablaze, that's what I named it. But it's the same size as all of those. So I am kind of excited to get to work on a bigger drawing for the first time in a while. I've been kind of like itching to do something different recently. I've been in my sketchbook for a while now, just not really doing any like full finished work, so I'm super excited. I got super excited over doing a Swiss typographic style poster for my typography class. I was like, it's something different. I'm doing something completely out of my wheelhouse, and like the posters aren't even like that good. I'm not a huge Swiss typographic style fan, to be very clear. I don't think even if I did an excellent job on them, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is beautiful, right? But yeah, it was really exciting. I'll try to make a community post or a Ko-fi post, since my Ko-fi's free. In all of those regards, I don't have like memberships pulled up. I'll post them over there. That feels like a good place to put my weird, obscure, like 11x16 Swiss typographic Willwood inspired posters, I guess. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked, honestly. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to do this bigger, and in being more conscious about my actual swatches, I will make sure to bring out the handful of Copics I have that might help me create the feeling I want more. And then I'm also going to practice making things glow in marker. It'll come up in my outro clip that I pre-filmed. I filmed it after I finished the drawing, but it was prior to the voiceover. It's complicated, guys, okay? I'm not good at this. But I wanted those mushrooms on her chest to glow. That'll come up in a bit, but I don't think I executed that effectively, so I am going to practice that with markers, like do an actual page where I teach myself how to do that, watch tutorials, and put a lot of effort into like actually seeing that I know how to execute this, because in my efforts, I don't think I did a particularly good job, and it's something that I can just teach myself to do, right? Like what's the point of being an artist if I don't just teach myself to do things, right? Because I can just Google it and watch a YouTube video on how to do it. You know what I mean? It's not something that I just like can't learn, right? So I'm gonna do that after, before I do the full illustration, and a lot of knuckle cracking and a lot of white gel pen later. We're kind of getting to the point of the video where I have to pass you on to past me so that you can see what past me did, even though it's kind of going to look more so like future me, if that makes sense. So yeah, thank you for being my friend, and so see ya. Okay, from the last clip, I did change a few things. I tried to add some luminescence here to make them look like they're glowing, because they're supposed to. I added some sparkly paint. And at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of how I approached coloring this. And so what I think I'm going to do, and I'll probably talk about this more in the voiceover leading up to this, is I'm going to actually go ahead and sketch this out on this paper, so it's a bit bigger. And then I'm going to do a like proper sit down inked illustration of it, so that I can, one, have more space for details, two, spend a lot more time on it, and three, have the type of line art that I'm more used to when I'm making like a good solid illustration, because I'm pretty dependent on line art like this to create good imagery. And then at the same time, that gives me the opportunity to do it digitally and traditionally, and I think that will work good for me. So I do like it as a sketch in my sketchbook. I do like it as an illustration in my sketchbook. I am going to redo it, but I think it's going to take me a while. I'm going to take it pretty slow. So I wouldn't expect to see that video anytime soon, like maybe a month with everything else I have planned. But for now, this is how she's going to exist in the sketchbook probably. I did go through and add a little bit more here and there, and it's definitely cute. I just feel like I could do so much better. And I love the concept so much that I want to do so much better, right? So there's that. And then I guess I should do my outro now, actually. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are. I appreciate you spending time with me on this video. I totally did not do my outro backwards, so subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. I'm going to have a bonus video coming up pretty soon about my sketching area. And then like if you like, dislike if you dislike, comment if there's anything you want to say about this, any ideas, any thoughts, anything you think I should do for the future sketch that I'm going to do. Maybe I should do three total and do one that's all color pencil, because she looked great before I got the markers involved, right? And with that, now I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are. And I really appreciate you sitting all the way through my videos. So, bye-bye!